Well, hey, everybody. Once again, welcome back into the Do Something Together podcast and video series. The first half of these episodes, we ask the questions why. This back half, we're answering those questions, hopefully, and talking about the how. I'm joined once again today by Robbye Atkinson, and we're going to talk about women and how women can empower each other and get connected in the community. And so, Robbye, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's get started. Here we go. All right. Well, Robbye, thanks for hopping on again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here. So I asked you this last time. Maybe there's something different this time, but just in case people skipped ahead and just joined this one for some reason, just tell people a little bit about who you are or something that they may not know or something interesting about yourself.
Okay. I feel like I'm pretty boring. See, I lived in Searcy basically my whole life.
Yeah.
Actually, I grew up in a little bitty town called Higginson, right outside of Searcy, to be honest.
Don't let you speed over there.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? They won't.
They will not. Not at
maybe, all. I know. So my funny story. Okay, here you go. Here's a funny one. So growing up, I grew up in Higginson, and my mom and I were going out to my grandmother's on Thanksgiving Day. I was probably 16 or 17 years old, and I drove separately, and we both got pulled over by the same cop heading out of Higginson to north of Searcy to my grandmother's house in totally separate time frames. So it's pretty comical.
Yeah.
Something we still laugh about today.
Those are some of my only memories of going through Higginson. Is they just love finding. They love finding you. They'll get you. They'll get you.
They will get you.
Well, today this is part 2 of our conversation about, just how women can get connected. And I learned some stuff last time we talked, so I'm excited to find some more stuff out. Again, I have statistics.
Okay, let's hear it.
That is me. So one thing I read I thought was really interesting. I don't know that this is an actual statistic, but it's just something I read that was interesting. It says, while men will go into fight or flight mode, studies have shown that women who are stressed tend to respond with a reaction they're calling tend and befriend. This means women will tend to nurture those around them and reach out to others for support. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's just what this article said. One study, though, this is from the Pew Research Center, so you know they're good. Women who are actively involved in church groups are more likely to report having a strong social support network. In a study, 79% of women involved in religious activities reported having someone they could turn to for help. This is 12% higher than women who are not involved in church. So obviously, and based on our conversation last time, having healthy relationships, having a healthy structure of community is really, really important. Let's start with just really basic stuff. Like, what are things that the average woman listening to this can do to help empower other women in this area to have healthy relationships or to find community?
Oh, goodness. How can I empower other women to, I think it needs to be talked about. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about, there was a time when, when you're a teenager, you want relationships. And so it's like, who's this friend and who are my friends? And so I think it's encouraging women to get to build friendships and relationships. Right. I think something quantity isn't necessary. Something important. When you're 16, 17, the number of friends that you have may be important. Right. As I've gotten older, I realize it's really the quality of friendships that I have. So, I just think it's important that we encourage that in one another.
That's good. I like that a lot. So one of the things that I know, just kind of in quick researching this topic, one thing that kept kind of popping up was like, how can other women help empower each other, or how can having a good community encourage each other for their goals and their aspirations and the things that they're dreaming up? And it can be a plethora of things. It could be career goals or family goals or just personal goals. So have you noticed that, one, and then in what ways?
Yeah, I think that that is definitely, if you have a group of friends and you're you're all stay-at-home moms, and hats off to all the stay-at-home moms. But you're going to encourage each other in that. You're going to know, I think it's because it comes to that. There's an understanding of where you are in your life. And so I think that just is important. And to have that, people that are surrounding you. I mean, yes, it's important to have those people who are different than you and have different goals, but then you also have those friends that are kind of in similar veins as you. Same thing with careers. Just being able to encourage one another, even if, you've had a terrible day, just to be able to reach out to a friend and go, I've had this terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day at work. And I know you're going to understand because you have, a similar or in a similar vein of work as me. And just how do you navigate that? And I think it's just, encouraging, and you can build each other up to that understanding.
That's good. One thing kind of I was thinking about while we were talking there is balance. Having a balanced community and relationships and friendships. You mentioned the last time we talked about how, a toxic relationship or one of the signs of a negative one is one that says, well, I just want to tell you about my stuff and not ask you about yours. So very practically, what are practical things that we can do to have a better balance in our relationships?
I think, again, and I feel like I've said this several times, but just that give and take. Don't be the taker. If you're listening to this right now and you're reflecting on conversations that you've had with your friends and you're going, ooh, I'm always the taker. Now, I do think there are seasons. So, maybe you've gone through a loss, or you're having a really hard time with your children or in a marriage, or so there are seasons of friendships where you may feel like I'm taking all the time. Right. But that is just a season, and that's okay. But it's when you reflect and go, this has always been the case, and I'm always that friend who, it's selfish. Yeah. And so I think that is just going, hey, how can I reflect and make sure that I'm doing my part in this relationship?
So this may be a hard question.
Oh dear. Okay.
But say you're on the receiving end of a taker.
Okay.
How do you talk about that? Like, how do you bring that up without it, just really being like, because one thing we mentioned last time, like it'll stay with you. Sure. So how do you clear the air?
I would say this. So if you have a friend or relationships that with someone who's a taker, it's okay to back away from that. It's okay to stop pursuing that. It's okay to say goodbye to relationships. And so, maybe it's somebody that you've had in your life for a really long time. You don't have to be like, hey, peace out, see you later. I'm not going to be your friend anymore. But you also don't have to pursue that. Yeah. So I think just like giving you the okay to go, it's okay. Yeah. What's that, like, gently walk out of the room. Yeah. Gently walk out of the room. It's, if they need you, if they need something, great, but just don't be the pursuant of it.
Yeah. I think we've brought this up in the series at some point before, but one thing that I've always heard and often taught is that, you're the average of your 5 closest friends, that you've got people who are further along than you, people who are you're bringing up. And that just leads me to this question. What kind of people, and this may be a hard one too, I don't know. What kind of people do you need in your life? From a woman's perspective. I know as a guy, I want some guys who are, I want some who are a little bit more, masculine, who are butch guys, and I need some guys who are also appeal to the nerd in me. I need that kind of diversity. So yeah. What kind of women do women need in their lives?
Well, I think it's kind of the same, and it goes back to that balance. I think it's important. So I have a friend who's 16, 17 years older than I am. And it's one of those that I just really look up to, and that and she and I don't do something every day. We don't reach out to each other every day, but I know if I need something, I can reach out to her, and same for her to me.
Yeah.
And then, I think it's just going like, I think it's important to have relationships that push us too. Like, make you be better, push you to be a better person, to be, and who knows what that's like, right? So again, you may have a mom who you just want to be a better mom. Well, surround yourselves with people who you feel like are perceiving to be a better mom. Most likely they're not a better mom. Most likely they're not, but you perceive them to be a better mom, and you can learn from them. I mean, I can learn from any situation.
Yeah.
And I should open my eyes up to be able to do that. That I need to have my eyes open, even if the situation is bad, even if the relationship is not one that I want to continue. There's something that I can learn from that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Let's keep on that vein for a minute. How important is it to have people who are mentors, people who are further along? I mean, you've already talked about it a little bit, how you can learn from any situation, but like, one thing I heard somebody say one time is that if you are looking for a mentor, you have to ask them. You can't wait on them to ask you to be their mentee.
Oh, yeah.
And so how important is it to seek after people like that in your life?
I mean, I think it's so important, whether it's, and it doesn't have to be, your mentor doesn't have to be your bestie. I mean, I think that's kind of a, not correct perception of that. You can have a mentor who is your boss, could be your mentor, and it's just somebody who really is pushing you to be and strive to be better. Yeah. But there's a saying that if you're not growing, you're dying. Mm-hmm. And so I want my relationships to grow me. Mm-hmm. I think I want my friendships. Like, I don't want somebody who agrees with me all the time. I want somebody who's going to challenge my thought process or, steps that I'm taking, and correct me too, if they feel like I'm not going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's good. So we've talked a lot about like those kinds of, what would you say? You mentioned last episode, last time we talked about, and even this one, I believe, like quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. But I think there may be some people out there that feel like if they don't have a ton of followers on Instagram, or if they don't have, that just seems to be, a very popular viewpoint. So what do you tell people who are trying too hard maybe to be popular, or think they have to look the certain way or act the certain way or have the certain friends? What would you tell people like that?
Stop. Seriously. Comparison is the thief of joy. Mm-hmm. And that's so true. But why? Yeah. I think that would be my biggest thing to them is why. Because that's a lot of juggling. You're putting a lot more pressure on yourself than has to be. And so I think I just want to dig deeper with that person and be like, really, like, it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. What are you gaining from having, 1 million followers on social media, except maybe a little bit of money?
Yeah. a little
bit. Right. But seriously, like if you're striving for that, I don't know. I just feel like it's a really unhealthy place probably. Now, I think a lot of people who end up with millions or hundreds of thousands, I guess I should say, of followers kind of happen organically, and then you're juggling to keep that spinning. I think that could be a little bit different, but, just really dig into the why and is it worth it? And are you spending hours a day spinning wheels on that of something that really isn't going to matter, when you could be spending a much lesser amount of time and building quality relationships?
Yeah. That's good.
Where's your focus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would you look at when because like celebrity culture can take anybody, but I just know, and I hope this doesn't come across like I'm stereotyping or anything like that, but I do know, again, I did student ministry, and I would hear our leaders talk about these girls who see these Kardashians on Instagram or these actresses on TV and movies and models in magazines and stuff like that. And they can be almost depressed because they don't feel like they measure up.
Yes.
And you've already talked about comparison, but what do you tell the younger generations when they're trying to live up to something that is photoshopped and faked, and even personality and videos that people are recording is all scripted? And I mean, what do you tell the girls out there?
Gosh. Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so first of all, and I wish I had the statistic pulled up, but I just read it in the last couple days. But the percentage, parents, listen. If you're listening right now, listen to this. I wish I could find the exact statistic, but the percentage of mental health disorders that come, so the younger that you are, that you get a smartphone, the greater percentages that you're going to have mental health issues. And so that's just something to really consider and think about. This may be straying a little bit, but with Riley, she's 17, I guess kind of 17 and a half. She's about to be a senior in high school. And we chose, she had a phone probably earlier than I would have liked her to have, but we were just busy and we wanted to be able to keep in contact with her. I did not let her have any form of social media until several years later, and I let her have Instagram. And I let her have Instagram during in the throes of the pandemic, because I thought maybe this will help her be able to keep connected, right? So she's a cheerleader and has been since 7th grade. And since 7th grade, she has said to me, "Mom, can I have Snapchat?" Like, I am the only cheerleader who does not have Snapchat. And I'm like, sorry. And we have held to that until about 2 months ago. So she is 17 before she had Snapchat. And even then I didn't really want her to have it, but then I'm going, she's going to be an adult now in less than a year. It's probably okay. And I feel like we have been able to teach her those things. So I kind of went off on a little tangent there. I'm sorry about that, but it's just some things to really think about, because I mean, yes, when you look at social media for women, I mean, even me as a 40-something-year-old woman, and I pull up Instagram, and immediately my thoughts are, oh my gosh, how did she get that amazing skin? That's a cute outfit. Oh, where do I purchase that? I mean, those are just immediate thoughts. So I can't imagine as a teenager trying to delve through that. But just like, find a way to stop comparing yourself to the perfection that other people are showing you on Instagram and Facebook and, TikTok and all the things. I mean, figuring out a way to really turn it off. I mean, really, if you're having that much of a problem with it, then it probably needs to just be turned off.
I mean, they say you are comparing your worst day to somebody else's highlight reel. And that's all it is.
It's so true. I mean, even in here, we're on video, which I hate, by the way. I'm like, oh, my hair, all the things, right? And these lovely things. But even in here, we have really good lighting. So even though I may not look my best, there's great lighting in here. There are ways now to make this perfect, spotless skin. What's really funny is when I see people maybe I graduated high school with, and I've seen their Instagram or Facebook, and I'm like, oh man, they've aged really well. And then you run into them and can't hardly recognize them.
Any names you would call anybody?
No, I'm gonna stay away from that. But it's just true. I mean, so.
Well, okay, so the last thing I think, I've got two things. It depends on if we have time. for the people who are on social media though, who are currently on there, and maybe they've overcome this, or they're in a better place than maybe people who aren't. What is something they can do to help the people who may be struggling, like on their own social media? Like, is there anything that will actually help?
So years ago, I was like, I'm going to change the face of social media, and so I took a picture of my bed unmade.
Oh yeah.
I was like, hey, look, even, this is real life, right? This isn't this perfect decorated. And then I was like, okay, this is silly. But I do think if you're someone who's involved, and I really think it's going to have to come from a high place.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to have to come from the people who are celebrities. And I've seen some people, follow some people who show the imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so important that we show that.
Yeah.
And I'm not on social media, just a ton. But I think it's important that we aren't, just showing this perfection. And I love being real. As probably the realest person anybody could meet. And I just think that we have to be real.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Last thing. Okay. We're low on time.
I can talk a lot.
Yeah, but I want to make sure to get this one in here because I think it's important. You mentioned that you're an introvert, at your core. So what would you tell the woman out there who may also be introverted, but also just may not just where they get their energy from, but is just really nervous about starting a conversation, or doesn't know, we have life groups available, we have serve groups available, but she's maybe a little afraid to take that step. What would you tell that person to help them get connected?
Sure.
Whether it's something that we're doing at our church or just finding a friend, what would you tell that person?
I think find someone. So, if we take our church, for instance, on any given Sunday, you walk in, hopefully you're greeted. Then if you want it bad enough, you can find it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean for that to be harsh or a cliche, but if you're really needing that community, again, just using our church, for example, on any given Sunday, you can walk in and you can see who the leaders are, mm-hmm. right? You can identify someone that's in a leadership position, or that you can just tell whether it's someone at the Welcome Center, and ask, hey, I really want to get connected. How can I get connected? I'll use this as an example. This past Sunday, there was a young girl, and I'm not entirely sure if she's come to the church or if this was maybe her first or second time, mm-hmm. but she's young. She was a fifth grader. So that's 11, 12 years mm-hmm. old. She is asking, how do I find my class? Like somehow she ended up with me and was like, is there something for my age here? How can I get plugged in? Yeah. So here is this precious 11, 12-year-old girl who's come to church all by herself on mm-hmm. a Sunday, and she's asking around until she gets the answer that she needs. I took her back to her class. She got connected. Now she knows that class is there. Find someone. You have to, unfortunately, if you are sitting around just waiting for someone to find you, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to be willing to seek it out.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems to be, that's one of the reoccurring themes, is it's going to take that step. It's going to be the do something. And that one step's probably going to be the hardest part for you. After that, it's cake. It's easy. Yeah. Well, Robbie, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mind praying over all the ladies? Sure.
Yeah. God, thank you for this day, and thank you for all the ladies who are listening in today. God, I just pray if there is one snippet of information that was helpful, that you would just plant a seed in those ladies to build community and help them understand how important that is in their life and in the roles that they play as they juggle all the things that they juggle. And God, I just pray peace over everyone that's listening in. God, that you would just comfort them and really just help them find a way to be connected. And we just love you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, listen, by the way, maybe you're a guy listening to this. Hopefully you got something out of it too. You learned a little bit about, a wife, a girlfriend, a mother, a sister, an aunt, whatever, grandma. Share this. If you know somebody who needs to hear this, feel free to share this. Also, don't forget, hit the subscribe wherever you're listening so you can get this stuff just sent right to your phone or your device. Connect with us, text Cersei to 88,000. We'd love to hear back from you, how we can be praying for you, how we can help get you connected to our campus. And if you're not from New Life, then hopefully you still found this stuff very helpful as well. Robbie, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking.
All right, that's it for today. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.